Welcome to Tainted Trusts, where broken loyalty, hidden betrayal, and poisonous promises are brought into the light. Here, every story reveals the truth behind toxic relationships, family secrets, and the quiet path toward justice. Listen closely, because trust is fragile, but revenge remembers. My sister claimed Dad gave her the house before his body was even in the ground. She changed the locks, showed a fake will, and smiled like grief made her untouchable. But Dad had one final witness waiting at his burial, a camera she never saw. The day my sister took my father's house, he had not even been lowered into the ground. I remember the cemetery grass more clearly than I remember the prayers. It had rained all morning, so every shoe left a dark crescent in the mud, and the canopy above the casket kept dripping at the corners like it was quietly counting down. My father, Robert Cole, had built his life around a small blue house on Maple Street. He had replaced every floorboard himself. He had painted the porch each spring, even after his knees went bad. He used to say the house was not valuable because of what the county assessor wrote down. It was valuable because it had outlived every person who tried to leave it. My sister Marissa stood beside me in a black coat too, expensive for grief. She had sunglasses on even though there was no sun. She cried when people were watching and checked her phone when they weren't. She had visited Dad 3 times in the last year of his life. I had counted because caregiving teaches you to count things you wish you did not have to count. Medication doses, insurance calls, hours of sleep, and the number of times someone says they will help and then does not. When the pastor finished, people came to me first. They squeezed my shoulder and said I had done right by him. They told me Dad had talked about me at church, how I fixed his walker, how I slept in the recliner during his last week because the hospice nurse said his breathing might change in the night. I nodded until my face hurt. Marissa waited until the last handful of dirt hit the casket. Then she leaned close enough for only me to hear and said, "Don't go back to the house tonight." I thought she was worried about me being alone there. That was how stupid grief made me. "Why?" I asked. She took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were dry. "Because it isn't yours anymore. Dad signed everything over to me." For a second, the whole cemetery seemed to tilt. The pastor's voice faded into the wind. My wife, Anna, was helping my 12-year-old daughter Lucy into the car, and I could see them in the distance, both of them still wearing the white ribbons from Dad's service because Lucy had made them herself. "What are you talking about?" I said. Marissa reached into her purse and pulled out a folded sheet of paper, already protected in a plastic sleeve. Even then, I noticed that. She had come to our father's burial prepared to perform. "Quitclaim deed," she said, "and a new will. Dad didn't want the house tied up with your debts. He wanted me to handle it." I did not have debts. She knew I did not have debts. What I had was a modest salary, a sick father, and a family that had spent the last 3 years eating dinners from one casserole dish because my time and money went where Dad needed them. "He would never do that," I said. She smiled with her mouth, but not her face. "You always thought you knew him better than everyone. Maybe that's why he changed his mind." 2 days later, the locks were changed. 4 days later, a realtor's sign appeared in the yard. And 6 weeks after that, in a courtroom where my sister sat with Dad's old watch on her wrist like a trophy. A video from the burial would prove that she had not just stolen a house. She had stolen a dying man's final choice. Marissa had been the bright child, or at least that was how everyone described her before brightness became a way to avoid responsibility. She was 3 years older than me, beautiful in the glossy, efficient way of women who learned early that attention could be converted into help. She left Maple Street at 19 and spent the next 25 years reinventing herself in apartments with white furniture and men who introduced her as complicated. Dad never stopped defending her. When she forgot his birthday, he said she worked too hard. When she borrowed $8,000 for a skincare business that never opened, he said everyone deserved a second start. When she missed Mom's funeral because she had a migraine in Nashville, he sat in the front pew and told anyone who asked that travel was hard on her. I used to hate him for it. Then Mom died, and I saw what grief did to him, how it made him carry Marissa's absence like proof that she might still come home if he left the porch light on. She came back when the cancer spread to his liver. Not immediately. Not when the diagnosis came. Not during the first surgery or the second round of chemo or the winter he lost 40 pounds and started apologizing to the furniture when he bumped into it. She came back after his oncologist used the phrase comfort-focused care, which is the kind of phrase doctors use when the room cannot hold the word dying. She arrived with a leather overnight bag, a new boyfriend named Cole who smiled too much, and a sudden tenderness that made me uneasy. "I want to be useful," she told me in Dad's kitchen, pouring herself coffee from the pot I had made before dawn. "I know I wasn't around enough. I want to make it right." Dad heard her from the recliner and cried. That was the first thing I should have paid attention to, not her words, but how perfectly they landed. Marissa knew our father. She knew he was softest around guilt when it came wrapped in the promise of return. For 2 weeks, she played daughter like a role she had been rehearsing in the mirror. She fluffed pillows. She posted old pictures of Dad online. She took him for short drives when he was strong enough, always to places with witnesses. The diner, the pharmacy, the church office. People saw her pushing his wheelchair and said, "Isn't it beautiful how she's come back?" They did not see me cleaning the bathroom after the new pain medication made him sick. They did not see Anna driving over after work to help me change his sheets. They did not see Lucy sitting on the porch steps reading to him through the screen door because she was frightened by how small he had become. Marissa saw all of it. She saw the exhaustion. She saw the unpaid bills stacked in the bread box. She saw the folder Dad kept in the top drawer of his roll-top desk, the one labeled House Important. She saw me too tired to lock things away. One evening, I found her in the study with the drawer open. "Looking for stamps," she said before I asked. The folder was still there. I checked after she left the room. Everything looked untouched. That was the second thing I should have paid attention to. Marissa never needed to take something the first time she saw it. She only needed to know where it was. Dad had one clear morning 3 days before he died. Hospice people call it a rally. They warn you not to trust it, which is a cruel and necessary thing to say. The dying sometimes rise up like a candle catching air before it goes out. For a few hours, they are themselves again, and everyone in the room pretends not to hear the warning inside the miracle. That morning, Dad asked for toast with strawberry jam and complained that I had cut it diagonally. "Your mother cut it straight," he said. "Mom also said you were a tyrant about toast." He grinned, thin and real. She loved tyrants. Lucy came before school with a drawing of the house. She had drawn the porch too wide and the windows uneven, but she had colored the front door the exact shade of blue Dad had chosen the year Mom died. Dad held it against his chest for a long time. "This house stays with you," he told her. Lucy looked at me, unsure whether she was allowed to receive something that big. "Grandpa," I said quietly. He lifted one finger. "No, let me say it while I can still say it. Your father is practical, Lucy. He'll talk about taxes and paperwork and all the boring things, but I want you to hear me. This house is yours someday. Yours and his, not because it's fancy, because this is where we remember who we are." Anna turned away at the sink. I pretended I did not see her wipe her face. Marissa was not there. She had taken Cole to breakfast because, she said, watching Dad sleep made her anxious. When she came back near noon, the clear morning was already fading. Dad's eyes had gone cloudy again. His words were slower, drifting in and out of sense. She looked at the drawing on his lap. "That's sweet," she said. Lucy made another little picture. Dad pressed his hand over it. "House," he murmured. "Yes, Daddy," Marissa said, bending over him. "Don't worry, I'll take care of the house." His eyes moved, trying to find me. "Evan," he said. I stepped close. "I'm here." He tried to lift his hand but could not. His fingers moved against the blanket, restless and weak. "Desk," he whispered. I thought he meant the funeral folder, because we had been working through arrangements. I told him I had it handled. He frowned with the effort of staying awake. "Video," he said. Marissa's head turned toward me. "What video?" she asked. Dad's eyes closed. The rally was ending. His breathing changed, going shallow at the edges. "We'll talk later," I told him. There was no later. By that evening, he was mostly beyond speech. By the next day, he was sleeping with his mouth open and one hand curled like a child's. The day after, just before dawn, he died while I was holding his wrist and counting the spaces between breaths. I did not know then that he had left me 2 videos. One was recorded on his old tablet and hidden in the desk. The other was accidental, filmed at his burial by the funeral home's livestream camera while everyone was looking the wrong way. Marissa found the first one. She did not know about the second. The attorney Marissa brought to the first family meeting did not look like an attorney. He looked like a man who sold boats to people who could not afford water. His suit was shiny at the elbows, his hair was too black for his face, and he introduced himself as legal counsel for the estate without making eye contact with me. His name was Graham Pike. We met at Dad's dining room table, the same table where Mom used to roll pie crust with a wine bottle because she claimed rolling pins were a conspiracy. Marissa sat at the head of it. That was the first insult. Dad's chair was still empty, but she had already claimed the place authority used to sit. Graham opened a folder and slid copies across the table. Your father executed a revised will and property transfer on April 17th, he said. I stared at the date. April 17th was the day Dad could not remember how to swallow water. No, I said. Graham's eyebrows rose. Excuse me. No, he didn't execute anything that day. He was sedated. The hospice nurse increased his morphine at 10 in the morning. He slept almost all day. Marissa sighed, as if I had begun a scene she had predicted. Evan, don't do this. Don't do what? Remember the last week of our father's life. Anna put a hand on my knee under the table, not to silence me, to anchor me. Graham tapped the paper. The document is notarized, witnessed, legally valid unless successfully challenged. I looked at the signature. It resembled Dad's name the way a shadow resembles a person. The R loop was wrong. The C in Cole was too small. My father had signed thousands of checks from that house, church raffle slips, permission forms when we were children, birthday cards with $5 tucked inside. I knew his signature. Who witnessed this? I asked. Graham turned a page. Marissa Cole and Cole Varden. I laughed once. It came out ugly. Her boyfriend. Her boyfriend witnessed my dying father giving her the house. Marissa leaned forward. Dad asked me to protect it from you. The words were so cleanly designed that for a second I only heard the craftsmanship. From you, not from debt, not from taxes, not from probate, from me. She wanted the room to understand I was the danger. Why would he need protection from the person who paid his mortgage arrears last winter? Anna asked. Marissa's face tightened. She had always hated Anna's calm. My wife had the kind of voice that made lies feel overdressed. This is family business, Marissa said. I'm his family, Anna replied. I was there more than you were. The temperature in the room changed. Graham cleared his throat and began talking about probate timelines, sale preparation, the need to preserve asset value. Every phrase sounded like a door being locked. I asked to see the original will. In secure storage, he said. I asked for Dad's medical capacity evaluation. Not required. I asked why Dad's longtime attorney, Patricia Bell, had not prepared it. Marissa's smile came back. Patricia retired. Dad wanted someone new. Patricia Bell had not retired. I knew because she had sent flowers to the funeral with a note that said, I still have the envelope he made me promise to keep until you asked. I had not understood the note at the time. That night, after Marissa and her bargain bin lawyer left, I found Patricia's card in the sympathy basket and called the number printed in blue ink. She answered on the second ring. When I told her what Marissa had brought to the table, she did not sound surprised. She said, Evan, come to my office tomorrow morning and bring your father's death certificate if you have it. Then she paused. Also, don't tell your sister you're coming. Patricia Bell's office was above a bakery that smelled like cinnamon and butter, which made everything she said feel more brutal by comparison. She was 71, small, silver-haired, and built like a locked filing cabinet. Dad had trusted her for 30 years because, according to him, she was the only lawyer in town who could frighten a banker without raising her voice. She looked at the documents Marissa's attorney had handed me and became very still. This is not your father's will, she said. I had expected caution, legal hedging, words like appears and potentially. Patricia gave me none of that. How do you know? Anna asked. Patricia opened her bottom drawer and removed a cream-colored envelope sealed with red wax. Dad's handwriting crossed the front. 4 EVAN. When the house is QSTONED. My throat closed. He came here 6 months ago, Patricia said. Before the second surgery, he was worried about Marissa. He loved her, but he understood her more clearly than she believed. She broke the seal and removed a stack of papers. A trust agreement. A pour-over will. A deed transferring the Maple Street house into the Cole family trust, with me as trustee and Lucy as remainder beneficiary. Dad had not left the house to me outright. He had protected it from everyone, including me. He said grief makes families stupid, Patricia said. His words. He wanted the house kept for Lucy unless you chose to sell for her education or medical need. Marissa was to receive his savings account and Mom's jewelry box, except your mother's blue ring, which goes to Lucy. Anna squeezed my hand. Is this recorded? I asked. Filed, Patricia said. Properly, but there is a complication. Of course there was. She showed me a county database printout. 2 days after Dad died, before the funeral, someone had filed Marissa's quitclaim deed electronically. The filing did not replace the trust automatically, but it created a cloud. Enough cloud to scare a buyer. No. Enough to get a title company involved? Yes. Enough for Marissa to list the house and claim possession while the court sorted it out, apparently. She moved fast, Patricia said. She changed the locks yesterday, I said. Patricia's mouth went flat. Then she is either very confident or very frightened. Often those look the same. She asked about Dad's last week. I told her everything. The rally, the drawing, the word desk, the word video. At that, Patricia looked up sharply. Video. He said it once. I thought he was confused. She leaned back. He recorded a statement here when he signed the trust. I have that. But if he said desk, there may be another. Robert liked redundancy. He used to say 1 lock invites thieves and 2 locks insult them. The problem was that I could not get into the house. Marissa had already hired a locksmith. When I drove by after leaving Patricia's office, her silver SUV sat in the driveway. Cole's truck was there too. Through the front window, I could see moving boxes stacked, where Dad's recliner used to be. Lucy was in the back seat. I had not wanted to bring her, but she had begged to see the house. Why is Aunt Marissa taking Grandpa's porch swing? She asked. I looked. Cole was carrying the swing down the steps. Dad had built it for Mom when she was pregnant with me. He had carved their initials underneath, where nobody saw them unless they knew to look. I got out of the car before Anna could stop me. Marissa came onto the porch with Dad's blue ceramic cookie jar in her hands. You need to leave, she called. That's Mom's swing. It's my swing now. Lucy started crying in the car. Something inside me went quiet. I pointed at the porch, at the boxes, at my sister's dry, satisfied face. Touch one more thing, I said, and I will make sure the whole town knows what you did before Dad was cold. Marissa set the cookie jar down slowly. Be careful, Evan, she said. Angry men look guilty in court. I had no idea, then, how often she had practiced making herself look like the victim. The realtor sign appeared on a Thursday morning. Coming soon. Charming family home, estate sale. Estate sale. The phrase made my hands shake. It sounded clean, respectable, almost tender. It did not say that a daughter had changed the locks on the house where her father died. It did not say that the son who bathed him during the final week was now parked across the street like a trespasser. It did not say that a 12-year-old girl had cried herself sick because her grandfather's porch swing disappeared into a truck. I called the number on the sign. The agent, a woman named Brooke, answered with a voice full of rehearsed sunshine. When I told her the title was disputed, the sunshine dimmed. I was provided documentation, she said. By Marissa Cole. A pause. I can't discuss my client. Your client is trying to sell a house, held in trust for a child. Another pause, longer this time. You should have your attorney contact me. Patricia did within the hour. By evening, the online listing had vanished, but the sign stayed in the yard because Marissa wanted it seen. That was her talent. If she could not win the law, she would win the neighborhood first. People began calling. Aunt Darlene called to ask why I was making things hard on Marissa when she was finally trying to be responsible. Dad's church friend Ellis called to say he did not want to get involved, but Marissa had told people I was unstable from grief. My cousin Bate sent a message that said, I love you, but if Dad signed it, maybe honor his wishes. Nobody asked why Dad would sign away the house on a day he was barely conscious. Nobody asked why Marissa had hidden the documents until the burial. Nobody asked why she needed them to believe I was dangerous before they understood what she had done. Anna found me in the garage that night, sitting on a paint bucket with Dad's old toolbox open at my feet. I had taken it from the shed months earlier to fix a railing and never returned it. Inside were his labels, his neat rows of screws, the pencil he kept sharpened with a pocket knife, the ordinary evidence of a careful man. She's not just stealing the house, I said. Anna sat on the concrete beside me. No, she's stealing him. The version people remember. She's making him into someone who would do this. Anna took the pencil from the toolbox and turned it between her fingers. Then we don't fight only for the house. We fight for the record. The record, that became our word for it. We built a folder, hospice medication logs, nurse visit notes, text messages from Marissa saying she couldn't handle hospitals, photos of Lucy with Dad on the clear morning, bank transfers showing I had paid utilities and repairs. The trust documents Patricia had kept. Everything. But it was not enough. Patricia warned us before the first hearing. A judge sees family cases all day, she said. Grief makes people accuse one another of terrible things. Documents matter, but so does timing, credibility, and proof of intent. We need to show not just that Marissa's deed is inconsistent. We need to show how it happened. How do we do that? I asked. She looked at me for a long moment. Find the video your father mentioned. So we had 1 week before the emergency hearing. A locked house. A sister who had already started staging herself as the victim. And a dying man's word that there was something in his desk. The next day, Dad's neighbor Mrs. Alvarez called. "Evan," she whispered, as if Marissa could hear through the phone. "Your sister threw away 3 black trash bags from the study. They're still at the curb. Pickup isn't until morning." I was in my car before she finished the sentence. I learned something ugly about grief while digging through my father's trash at midnight. Love does not make you noble. Sometimes it makes you kneel on wet pavement under a streetlight, opening garbage bags with your wife's gardening gloves while a raccoon watches from the curb like a disappointed witness. Mrs. Alvarez stood on her porch in a pink robe, holding a flashlight. She was 84 and shaped like a question mark, but she had the courage of a woman who had outlived everyone she was afraid of. "She left at 9, she called softly. "The boyfriend, too. I told my son I'd call police if they came back while you were here." "Thank you," I said. "Don't thank me. Your father fixed my furnace for free in 2008. This is interest." The first bag held junk from the study. Old catalogs, envelopes, dried pens, a cracked picture frame. The second held clothes from Dad's closet, thrown away without even checking the pockets. That nearly broke me. Anna found Mom's scarf in there, the blue one she wore to church. She folded it carefully and put it in the back seat. The third bag was heavier. Inside were shredded papers. Not professionally shredded, just ripped by hand. Dad's utility bills. His church donation receipts. Old letters. A torn photograph of the 4 of us in front of the house when Marissa graduated high school, Dad's arm around her shoulders, my face sunburned and squinting. At the bottom, wrapped in a grocery bag, was Dad's tablet. The screen was cracked. Someone had tried to snap it in half and failed. Anna looked at me. "Is that his?" I could not speak. I turned it over and saw the label Lucy had made for him last Christmas. Grandpa's movie machine. At home, I plugged it in. Nothing happened. I tried a different charger, still nothing. I pressed the power button until my thumb hurt. Dead. The next morning, I took it to a repair shop run by a man named Dev who looked 19, but spoke about electronics like a surgeon discussing organs. "Water damage," he asked. "Sister damage." He glanced at my face and did not joke. "I'll see what I can pull." While we waited, Marissa escalated. She posted on Facebook at 10:13 a.m. It is heartbreaking when grief turns people cruel. Dad made his wishes clear, and I will honor them no matter how much intimidation I face. Please pray for peace in our family. By noon, 37 people had liked it. By 3, someone I had known since elementary school commented, "Stay strong, Marissa. Money changes people." Lucy saw it before we could stop her. "Do they think Dad was money?" she asked. Anna put her phone face down. "No, baby, they don't know what they're saying. Aunt Marissa knows." That was the sentence that stayed with me. At 6, Dev called. He had recovered part of the tablet's internal storage. A folder labeled Dad Final. 3 corrupted files, 2 photos, 1 video damaged but playable. I drove back with my heart against my ribs. Dev put the video on a USB drive and warned me the audio broke in places. "You should watch it somewhere private," he said. I watched it in the car because I could not wait. Dad appeared on the screen, sitting at his desk, thinner than before but alert. The date stamp showed 4 months before his death. "Evan," he said, "if you're seeing this, it means your sister did what I was afraid she might do." I gripped the steering wheel until my fingers went numb. Then the video glitched. When it returned, Dad was saying, "The second copy is with the burial recording. Patricia will know what that means. Don't let Marissa turn my love into permission." The screen froze on his face. Then it went black. Patricia knew what the burial recording meant. She closed her office door, watched Dad's recovered video twice, and then sat very still with her hands folded. Robert prepaid for a live stream package, she said. For the funeral, for the graveside service specifically. He came in here after arranging it, said he wanted Lucy to have the recording if she couldn't bear to stand close to the casket. He also asked me whether live stream files kept background audio. I thought it was an odd question. Did he know Marissa would say something there? Your father knew his daughter liked audiences. The funeral home had posted a private link for relatives who could not attend. I had never opened it. The thought of watching Dad's burial while the grief was still fresh had felt obscene. Now Patricia called the director, Mr. Hensley, a gentle man with a voice like folded linen, and asked him to preserve the raw file. Raw file? I asked when she hung up. Livestream platforms compress and cut. Funeral homes keep the source recording for liability and archival purposes. Multiple camera angles sometimes. Camera angles. Patricia almost smiled. Your father was thorough. The raw file arrived the next day on a secure link. Patricia insisted we watch it in her conference room. Anna came with me. Lucy stayed with her friend because no child should have to watch adults search a funeral for evidence. The first 20 minutes were unbearable and useless. Cars arriving, people hugging, the pastor adjusting his notes, me standing too straight beside the casket, already emptied out, Marissa crying into a tissue whenever someone turned toward her. Then the service began. I watched myself bury my father. There is no dignified way to do that twice. Anna's hand found mine under the table. At minute 34, the pastor invited everyone to place a flower on the casket. People lined up. The main camera followed them, but a second camera, fixed wide for the live stream, captured the canopy, the first row of chairs, and the path behind the cemetery hedge. Patricia leaned forward. There, Marissa slipped away from the line. At the service, I had not seen it. Nobody had. We were all watching the casket. But the wide camera caught her moving behind the hedge with Graham, Pike, and Cole. They stood near a stone angel darkened by rain. The audio was faint, buried under wind and the pastor's prayer, but Mr. Hensley had included the separate microphone track from the canopy. Graham's voice came first. You can't list until the deed clears. Marissa said, it will clear, you said it would. Cole laughed softly. Relax. The old man couldn't hold a pen, but nobody's checking pressure points. Anna inhaled sharply. On screen, Marissa slapped Cole's arm. Shut up, she hissed. Not here. Graham said something we couldn't hear. Then Marissa, clear enough that the room seemed to stop around us, said, Evan will fold if everyone thinks Dad picked me. He always folds when it hurts Lucy. I felt Anna's grip tighten. The video continued. Graham handed Marissa an envelope. She slipped it into her coat. Cole looked toward the graveside, then straight at the camera without seeing it. What envelope is that? I asked. Patricia did not answer. She was already replaying the clip. On the third pass, we saw the corner of the envelope. It had a notary seal pressed into the flap. Marissa had brought the forged original to the burial, and because Dad had known she would use his funeral as a stage, he had arranged for the stage to record her. Patricia sat back. Now, she said, we have intent. For the first time since the cemetery, I felt something other than grief, not relief, not victory, a cold, clean anger, the kind that does not shake, the kind that arrives ready to work. Marissa wore navy to court because black would have looked too theatrical. I knew that as soon as I saw her. She had planned even the shade of grief. Her hair was pulled back. Her makeup made her look tired in a flattering way. She carried Dad's Bible against her chest, though I had never once seen her open it while he was alive. Cole sat behind her, jaw tight. Graham Pike sat at council table with a stack of folders and the expression of a man beginning to regret a discount. The judge was named Evelyn Hart. She was small, sharp-eyed, and looked over her reading glasses like she had been disappointed by better liars than us. Patricia had warned me not to expect drama. Emergency hearings were procedural. The court would not solve the whole case that day. We were there to stop the sale and preserve the property. Marissa's side went first. Graham spoke about a devoted daughter, a father's revised wishes, a grieving son unwilling to accept that caregiving did not equal inheritance. He suggested I had pressured Dad late in life and that Marissa had protected him from me. Every sentence was wrapped in concern. Then Marissa testified. She lowered her eyes at the right times. She said Dad had called her his brave girl. She said he feared I would sell the house to pay bills. She said I had become controlling during his illness. My father wanted peace, she told the judge. He asked me to make sure Evan didn't turn the house into a weapon. I sat there while my sister used Dad's name to build a man he would not recognize. When Patricia stood, she did not attack. That was her genius. She simply began placing stones in a row. The trust agreement, executed 6 months before death. Dad's video statement from her office. Hospice medication logs showing incapacity on April 17th. Nurse testimony by affidavit. The notary record, which listed the signing at 4:30 p.m. even though Dad's nurse had documented him asleep and non-responsive from 2:00 p.m. to 6:10 p.m. Judge Hart listened without moving. Graham objected to the recovered tablet video as incomplete. Incomplete does not mean irrelevant, Patricia said. Then she asked to play the burial recording. Marissa's head snapped toward her. It was the first honest thing her face had done all morning. Graham stood. Your Honor, a burial recording is highly prejudicial and emotionally inflammatory. Judge Hart looked at Patricia. Purpose, intent, Your Honor, authenticity of the contested deed, possible witness tampering and fraud. The clip is brief. The judge allowed it. The courtroom lights dimmed. The screen came down. I watched Marissa watch herself. At first, she held the performance. Her face stayed wounded, confused. But when Cole's voice said, "The old man couldn't hold a pen," her mouth opened slightly. When her own voice said, "Evan will fold if everyone thinks Dad picked me," the color left her face. Judge Hart's pen stopped moving. The clip ended. Silence filled the courtroom. Patricia said, Your Honor, we ask that the property sale be enjoined, the contested deed be frozen pending forensic examination, and the original documents be surrendered to the court by end of day. Marissa whispered something to Graham. He did not look at her. The judge granted everything. Then she looked directly at Marissa. Ms. Cole, you are not to enter, remove property from, alter, list, encumber, or otherwise interfere with the Maple Street property until further order. Do you understand? Marissa nodded. I need a verbal answer. Yes, she said. Her voice sounded smaller than I had ever heard it. Outside the courtroom, she followed me to the elevator. You humiliated me, she said. I turned around. No, Marissa, I pressed play. The court order gave me temporary access to secure the house. Patricia arranged for a locksmith, and a deputy met us there because Marissa had technically been ordered not to interfere, but technically had never been a language my sister respected. Maple Street looked smaller when we pulled up. Maybe houses shrink when the people who made them large are gone. The realtor sign was down. Mrs. Alvarez watched from her porch, arms crossed, victorious in her house slippers. Inside, the house smelled like bleach and cardboard. Marissa had been cleaning for buyers, not mourning. Dad's recliner was gone. Mom's blue curtains were gone. The wall of family photos in the hallway had been stripped, leaving pale rectangles where years used to hang. Lucy stood in the doorway behind Anna, clutching the hem of her coat. She took Grandpa off the walls, she said. I had no answer for that. We moved room by room, documenting everything. Missing furniture, missing tools, missing photo albums. In the study, Dad's roll-top desk stood open and empty, every drawer pulled like a mouth. I ran my hand along the back panel. Dad had built secret compartments into things because he liked spy movies and distrusted banks. When I was 10, he hid my birthday present in a false bottom under the sock drawer and then spent 2 hours pretending the dog had eaten it. The desk was old, heavy oak, scarred by coffee rings, and a burn mark from when Mom tried to iron a shirt on it during a power outage. He said desk. Anna reminded me softly. I checked the drawers again. Nothing. Then Lucy stepped forward. Grandpa kept candy behind the dragon. What dragon? I asked. She pointed to a carved flourish on the desk leg. I had seen that desk my whole life and never noticed the dragon shape in the wood. I pressed it. A narrow panel clicked. Inside was a small brass key, a flash drive, and a note in Dad's handwriting. EVAN, if you found this, thank Lucy. She sees what adults miss. Anna began to cry. I sat in Dad's chair and opened the flash drive on my laptop. There were scans of old letters, a copy of the trust, photos of Marissa removing papers from his desk while he slept, captured by a small motion camera hidden on the bookshelf, and one more video. Dad appeared in the same chair I was sitting in now, wearing his old plaid robe. Marissa, he said, looking directly into the camera. If you're the one watching this because you got here first, stop. I love you. I have loved you badly sometimes because guilt is not the same as love, and I gave you too much permission while calling it mercy. But the house is not yours to take. It belongs to the future, and I named that future Lucy. Behind me, Lucy made a small sound. Dad continued, Evan, I'm sorry for making you the responsible one. Parents do that sometimes to the child who stays. It isn't fair. But I am asking you one last thing. Don't fold. Not because of the house. Because your daughter needs to know that truth can be defended without becoming cruel. The video ended. For a long time, nobody moved. Then Lucy walked to the desk, touched the screen where Dad's face had been, and whispered, I found the dragon. I put my arm around her and realized Dad had left the house to Lucy. But he had left me something too. Permission to stop apologizing for telling the truth. Cole Varden broke before Marissa did. That did not surprise Patricia. Weak men attach themselves to dangerous women because it feels like proximity to strength, she said. Then they discover they were only useful until the fire reached them. The fire reached Cole when Judge Hart ordered forensic examination of the original deed and subpoenaed the notary journal. The notary, a woman named Denise Larkin, had worked out of a shipping store near the interstate. Her journal entry showed Dad's identification, but the signature beside it did not match any of his known signatures. Worse for Marissa, the security footage from the shipping store showed Cole walking in alone with the documents and Dad's driver's license. Not Dad, Cole. When Patricia showed me the still image, I felt sick. He was smiling at the counter, tapping Dad's license against his palm. How did he get the license? Anna asked. I knew. Dad's wallet had disappeared the day after he died. Marissa claimed the funeral home had misplaced it. I had been too numb to argue. Cole's attorney called Patricia 2 days later. By Friday, he had given a sworn statement. According to Cole, Marissa told him Dad had verbally agreed to the transfer, but was too weak to sign. She said Evan would steal everything through caregiver guilt if they did not fix it quickly. Cole admitted he had taken Dad's driver's license from the nightstand, driven to the shipping store, and signed as a witness while Denise notarized what she believed was a legitimate home-executed document. He claimed Graham Pike had assured them it was a curable technical issue. Graham denied everything. Marissa called Cole a liar. The beautiful part, if anything in that ugliness could be called beautiful, was that thieves distrust each other faster than honest people can prove them wrong. Once Cole talked, Graham produced emails. Once Graham produced emails, Denise Larkin hired counsel. Once Denise hired counsel, her insurance company got involved. Suddenly, everyone who had helped my sister was very eager to explain that they had only helped a little. Marissa, who had spent her life turning rooms toward her, found herself standing in a room where every person was pointing back. She called me that night from a blocked number. I almost did not answer. Evan, she said. Her voice was ragged, but I did not trust it. Marissa could make ragged into costume. You should talk to Patricia. No, I want to talk to you. Then talk. Silence. Dad did want me to have something, she said. He left you money and Mom's jewelry box. That's nothing. There it was. The truest sentence she had spoken since the funeral. It was what he chose. He owed me more. I stood in the kitchen with the phone against my ear and watched Anna help Lucy with homework at the table. Ordinary life, fragile as glass. For what? I asked. Marissa's breath shook. For choosing you. For always choosing the child who stayed and making me the disappointment. I closed my eyes. That was the wound underneath all of it. Not poverty, not need. A child's old arithmetic. Attention given to someone else becomes theft. You left, I said, because I couldn't breathe there. Then why steal the place you couldn't breathe? She hung up. I lowered the phone. Anna looked up. Was that her? Yeah. What did she want? I thought about it. To be the victim of the thing she did. Anna nodded once, sadly. Some people do not want forgiveness. They want the story rewritten, so they never needed it. Small towns forgive theft faster than embarrassment. For weeks, people had repeated Marissa's version because it cost them nothing. It cost them less to believe that grief made me unstable than to believe they had hugged a liar at a funeral. But when the court filings became public and the burial clip leaked through someone's cousin's group chat, the town changed its face so quickly it almost made me laugh. Suddenly, Aunt Darlene left casseroles on our porch. Suddenly, Ellis from church called to say he had always wondered about that deed. Suddenly, people who had commented under Marissa's post deleted their words, and replaced them with Bible verses about truth. Marissa deleted her account. The church board asked her not to attend the memorial luncheon for another member because, as the pastor put it gently, the congregation is tender around this matter. That meant they were angry and did not know how to be angry in public without calling it tenderness. I should have enjoyed it more. I didn't. The reversal did not give Dad back. It did not restore the photos she had thrown away. It did not erase Lucy asking whether people thought Grandpa was money. Vindication is useful, but it is not the same as healing. Sometimes it only proves how easily the crowd could have chosen differently the first time. One Sunday, after service, Pastor Michael found me beside Dad's old pew. "I owe you an apology," he said. I looked at the hymnals stacked in the rack. Dad had always straightened them before leaving, as if God graded tidiness. For what? For not asking questions. Marissa came to me after the funeral. She said you were threatening her. I believed enough of it to stay neutral. Neutral helped her. He flinched. "Yes," he said. "It did." I respected him more for not dodging it. Lucy came down the aisle then, running her fingers along the pews. She stopped at Dad's spot and sat, small and solemn, her feet not touching the floor. "Grandpa said he could hear Mom sing from here," she said. "He could. Your grandma was loud." She smiled. Pastor Michael crouched in front of her. "Lucy, your grandfather loved you very much." Her face changed, tightening with a question she had carried alone. "Then why did Aunt Marissa say he picked her?" The pastor looked at me. I did not rescue him. He turned back to Lucy. "Because grown-ups sometimes lie when they want something badly enough. That doesn't change what your grandfather wanted." Lucy considered that. The video changed it back. "No," I said gently. "The video helped people see it. The truth was already the truth." She looked at me like that mattered. Maybe it did. That afternoon, we went to Maple Street. The court still held the property frozen, but I had access for maintenance. Lucy brought her drawing of the house and taped it to the refrigerator where Dad could have seen it from the recliner. The rooms were emptier than they should have been. Marissa had taken objects, but not the weight of them. The house still remembered. In the study, Lucy opened the dragon compartment again, though it was empty now. "Do you think Grandpa knew she'd be bad?" she asked. I leaned against the desk. "I think he knew people can love you and still do wrong. He wanted us protected from the wrong part." "Did he love Aunt Marissa?" "Yes, even after." I thought about Dad's video. "I love you, stop." "Yes," I said. "But love isn't the same as letting someone steal." Lucy nodded, and I realized I was saying it to myself too. Marissa offered to settle when criminal charges became more than a threat. Patricia received the proposal in a PDF that used words like misunderstanding and emotional distress. Marissa would relinquish any claim to the house if we agreed not to pursue damages, not to cooperate with further fraud investigation beyond what was legally required, and not to release or discuss the burial recording publicly. There was also a confidentiality clause. "She wants silence," Anna said. We were in Patricia's conference room again, the bakery downstairs filling the air with sugar, while my sister tried to buy a clean ending with stolen dignity. Patricia looked at me over the document. "Legally, the house is the priority. Emotionally, silence may feel like swallowing glass. You need to decide which cost you can live with." I read the clause 3 times. Dad had said, "Don't fold," but he had also said truth can be defended without becoming cruel. I did not want revenge if revenge meant becoming fluent in Marissa's language. I wanted the house protected. I wanted Lucy safe. I wanted the record clear. "Can we counter?" I asked. Patricia's eyes sharpened. "Always." Our counteroffer was simple. Marissa would relinquish all claims, return or compensate for missing personal property, issue a written statement admitting Dad's prior trust was valid and that her deed should not have been filed, and pay legal fees from her share of the cash inheritance. We would not release the burial recording online, but we would cooperate fully with any investigation and retain the right to discuss the truth within the family. No gag order, no rewriting. Graham Pike's office responded in 2 hours with outrage. By nightfall, they accepted most of it. Marissa refused the written admission. The next morning, Judge Hart held a status conference. Marissa appeared by video. Her face was pale, the background behind her blank. No Bible, no sunglasses, no audience. Patricia explained the sticking point. Judge Hart looked into the screen. "Ms. Cole, your reluctance to acknowledge the trust's validity is difficult to reconcile with the evidence before this court. Marissa said nothing. Would you prefer this matter proceed to a full evidentiary hearing? Her attorney leaned close, murmuring off camera. Marissa's jaw worked. No, she said, then sign the statement. It was that unceremonious. All the manipulation, all the performance, all the suffering she had caused, and the legal end of it came down to a woman in a black robe saying sign. She signed. The statement arrived that afternoon. I expected satisfaction when I read it. Instead, I felt tired. The language was careful, lawyered within an inch of its life, but the core was there. Robert Cole's trust controlled the Maple Street property. The April 17th deed should not have been prepared or filed. Marissa relinquished all claims. Lucy was at the kitchen table when I came home, building a cardboard version of the house for a school project. Did we win? She asked. I set the papers down. The house is safe. That's not the same. I smiled despite myself. She had inherited Anna's precision. No, I said. It isn't, but it's the part we needed. She glued a crooked porch swing to the front. Can we put Grandpa's real swing back? Aunt Marissa sold it. Lucy looked at the little cardboard swing. Then we make a new one. That was children for you. Not because they are innocent, but because they understand construction better than adults do. Adults stare at what was broken. Children ask where the glue is. I kissed the top of her head. Yeah, I said. We make a new one. Inventorying the missing items took 3 days and hurt more than court. Courts deal in property categories: furniture, jewelry, tools, documents. Families deal in ghosts. Mom's recipe box was not valuable, except that every card had her handwriting. Dad's fishing rod was not valuable, except that he had taught me patience with it and I had resisted learning. The porch swing was not valuable, except that my parents had sat there through 40 summers, discussing bills, neighbors, and whether heaven had mosquitoes. Marissa had sold most of it through online listings under a fake name. We found the posts because Anna is patient in the terrifying way of teachers and mothers. She searched marketplace groups, estate sale pages, resale apps. She found Mom's cookie jar described as vintage blue ceramic farmhouse storage. She found Dad's drill set listed as old tools, works fine. She found the porch swing already sold to a couple 40 miles away. I messaged them. They responded with kindness that undid me. They had no idea. They invited us to come see it. The swing hung from their back porch, freshly cleaned, facing a yard full of children's bikes. The woman, June, stood beside it and kept apologizing. We can give it back, she said. Of course we can. I looked at the swing. At the initials underneath, still there. R+M, carved with a pocket knife before I existed. Then I looked at Lucy, watching 2 little boys chase each other through the yard. Do you use it? I asked. June blinked. Every night. My husband reads to the kids there. Something in me loosened. Dad would have liked that. I knelt and touched the carved initials once. Keep it, I said. Anna looked at me, surprised. Evan, it's being loved, I said. June cried. I nearly did too. On the drive home, Lucy was quiet. Why didn't we take it? She asked finally. Because getting something back isn't always the same as restoring it. She thought about that. Can we still make a new one? Yes. Can we carve Grandpa's initials on it? Yes. And Grandma's? Yes. And ours. I looked at her in the rearview mirror, especially ours. The next weekend, we bought lumber. I had Dad's tools back by then, returned as part of the settlement after Marissa's attorney realized stolen tools looked bad beside forged deeds. Dad's hands had worn the grips smooth. Mine fit them differently. Building the swing was slow. I measured wrong twice. Lucy got stain on her shoes. Anna brought lemonade and pretended not to laugh when I cursed at a bolt. Mrs. Alvarez supervised from her porch and announced Dad would have used cedar, not pine. Dad had more money, I called back. Your dad had better sense. When we hung the new swing, the porch looked less empty. Not the same. Better would be too strong, but less empty. Lucy crawled underneath with a marker and wrote, Robert plus Mary plus EVAN plus Anna plus Lucy. Then she added, after a pause, Truth SDAYS. I did not correct her. A week later, Marissa's written admission arrived in the mail with no note. I put it in the trust file, not on display, not as a trophy, as part of the record. That evening, I sat on the new swing while the sun went down behind Maple Street and understood something I had not wanted to understand. Marissa had sold objects. She had not sold the inheritance. The inheritance was the stubborn act of rebuilding what someone else tried to make disappear. Lucy asked to see the burial video in late October. The leaves had turned the street gold, and the house was officially secure in the trust again. Marissa was awaiting a plea hearing for filing false instruments and conspiracy to commit fraud. Graham Pike had surrendered his license pending review. Cole had moved to Florida because apparently the ocean accepts men who run out of excuses. Life had returned to a shape, but not the old shape. We spent Saturdays at Maple Street repairing what had been stripped. We spent Sundays at our own house resting from repair. Lucy still had nightmares sometimes, not about Marissa, but about Grandpa calling from inside a locked room. So when she asked to see the video, Anna and I said no at first. "It's too much," Anna said. Lucy sat very straight at the kitchen table. "Everyone else knows what happened. I only know pieces." That sentence stayed with me because it sounded like Dad. He hated pieces. He used to say half a story gives lies room to rent. We talked to a counselor first. Then we made a version of the video without the burial itself, just the clip behind the hedge and Dad's recovered message from the desk. We sat with Lucy between us on the couch. Before I pressed play, I said, "You can stop any time." She nodded. She watched Marissa step away from the casket. She watched Graham hand over the envelope. She heard Cole's ugly little laugh. When Marissa said I would fold if everyone thought Dad picked her, Lucy's face tightened. "She used me," Lucy said. I paused the video. "What do you mean?" "She knew you would stop fighting if it hurt me." Anna closed her eyes. I turned toward my daughter, this child who had seen too much and understood more than I wanted. "She tried," I said, "but she was wrong. Fighting for the truth hurt for a while, letting the lie win would have hurt longer." Lucy looked back at the screen. "Play Grandpa." Dad appeared at his desk. His voice filled our living room, thinner than life but still his. When he said, "Lucy sees what adults miss," she covered her mouth. When he said the house belonged to the future, she cried silently, tears slipping straight down without sound. At the end, she leaned against me. "I miss him," she said. "Me too. I hate her." The honesty of it landed hard. Anna brushed Lucy's hair back. "That makes sense. Am I bad?" "No," Anna said. "Anger tells you something was wrong. It doesn't tell you what to become." Lucy thought about that for a long time. "I don't want to become her." I held her tighter. "Then you won't." The next week, Lucy wrote an essay for school about heirlooms. She did not write about money or houses. She wrote about Grandpa's desk dragon, the secret compartment, and the way adults sometimes miss the small things because they are busy fighting over big ones. Her teacher called Anna after reading it, not because it was polished, but because it was true in that direct, merciless way children's writing can be. That night, Lucy placed a small green glass marble inside the dragon compartment. "For next time," she said. "Next time what?" "Next time someone needs to find the truth." I thought about telling her there would not be a next time. I didn't. Some promises are too large for parents to make. Instead, I said, "Good idea." And together, we closed the compartment until the dragon looked like ordinary wood again. Marissa wore gray to the plea hearing. No performance survives repeated exposure. By then, the town had stopped discussing her in whispers and moved on to the more comfortable cruelty of discussing her in past tense. She used to be so charming. She used to have such promise. She used to be Robert's favorite, wasn't she? People love the word used when it lets them feel perceptive after the fact. The courtroom was smaller this time. Criminal court, not probate. The prosecutor read the charges in a voice that made each word sound like inventory. Filing false documents, conspiracy, elder exploitation, attempted fraud. Marissa's attorney negotiated the worst of it down. Restitution, probation, community service, a suspended sentence unless she violated terms. I had expected prison. Part of me wanted it. Patricia warned me that wanting maximum punishment is natural, but not always useful. "The law is not designed to satisfy grief," she said. "Usually because nothing can." The judge allowed a victim statement. I had written 5 versions. The first was furious. The second was cruel. The third sounded like a sermon. The fourth like a police report. The fifth was short enough to be true. I stood at the podium. Marissa did not look at me. "My father died believing he had protected his family," I said. "My sister tried to turn that protection into a weapon. She did not only forge papers. She forged a version of him that would betray the people who cared for him. That is the harm I want this court to understand. Money can be repaid. Property can be restored. But when someone uses a dead man's name to tell a lie, the living have to carry the work of correcting it. My daughter had to learn that at 12. She should not have had to. My voice almost broke there, but did not. I don't ask the court to hate my sister. My father loved her. That still matters. But love cannot be used as immunity. I ask that the record remain clear. What she did was not a misunderstanding. It was a choice. I sat down. Marissa finally looked at me. For once, I could not read her face. The judge sentenced her according to the plea. Restitution, probation, mandatory counseling, public service, and a written apology to Lucy, reviewed first by the counselor and by Anna and me before Lucy would ever see it. Judge Hart had added that condition after reading Patricia's motion. "Children are not props in adult remorse," she said. I liked her for that. Afterward in the hallway, Marissa approached alone. No Cole, no Graham, no Bible. Her attorney hovered near the elevators, pretending not to listen. "Evan," she said. I waited. I did love Dad. The sentence was almost unbearable because I believed it. I know. Her eyes filled. Then why couldn't he just? She stopped. Give it to me, I thought. Choose me. Make my leaving not matter. Fill the hole I built my whole life around. She could not finish because even she heard the child inside the demand. "He loved you," I said. "He just didn't trust you with the house. Those are different things." She looked away. "Do you hate me?" I thought of Lucy crying. Dad's stripped hallway, the forged signature, the swing sold to strangers. "Some days," I said. She nodded like that was more mercy than she deserved. "Will you ever forgive me?" I did not answer quickly. I had learned not to give away words just because someone wanted the comfort of hearing them. "I don't know," I said. "But if I do, it won't be because you ask. It will be because you change." Then I left her there, not punished enough, not absolved, just seen. The apology arrived 3 months later. It came through Marissa's counselor in a sealed envelope, then through Patricia, then to Anna and me at our kitchen table, because that was the chain we had built to keep Lucy from becoming a stage again. I expected manipulation. I expected old Marissa in softer clothes. The first draft was exactly that. "Dear Lucy, I'm sorry grown-up problems made you sad." Anna read the opening line and said, "Absolutely not." Patricia returned it with notes. The second draft was better and worse. Better because it admitted actions. Worse because every admission wore perfume. I was confused by grief. I made mistakes because I missed Grandpa too. No, the third draft came in Marissa's own handwriting. Not typed, not polished. Messy, uneven, with words crossed out. "Dear Lucy, I lied about what your grandfather wanted. I took papers from his desk. I helped file a deed that was not true. I tried to make people believe your dad was wrong because I wanted the house and because I was angry Grandpa trusted him with it. That was not your fault. It was not your dad's fault. It was mine. I sold things that mattered to you and your family. I cannot undo that. I am sorry I made Grandpa's death more painful. I am sorry I used his love as an excuse for my greed. You do not have to forgive me. You do not have to answer this. I am writing it because you deserve to have the truth said plainly. Aunt Marissa." Anna put the letter down. "That one," she said. We still waited a week. Then we gave it to Lucy with her counselor present. She read it twice, lips moving slightly. When she finished, she folded it carefully. "Can I keep it in the dragon?" she asked. "If you want. I don't want it in my room." That made sense. We drove to Maple Street. Lucy placed the apology in the desk compartment beside the green marble. Then she closed it. "Now the dragon knows," she said. "Children make rituals when adults fail them. Maybe all rituals begin that way." Spring came. We decided not to move into Maple Street. That surprised everyone. Aunt Darlene said Dad would have wanted me there. Pastor Michael said the house could be healing. Mrs. Alvarez said she would enjoy seeing Lucy on the porch. But Dad had not left the house as a museum. He had left it as protection. Anna and I talked for weeks. In the end, we rented it to a young widow from Dad's church with 2 boys and no patience for pity. The rent was below market, enough to cover taxes and repairs, with the rest going into Lucy's education fund. Patricia approved. Lucy did too, after meeting the boys and discovering they respected porch swings. The first night they moved in, we brought pizza. The boys raced through the hallway. Their mother, Grace, stood in the kitchen and cried quietly when she thought no one saw. "I'm sorry," she said. "It's just been a long year." I looked around the house. The new swing, the repaired walls. The refrigerator where Lucy's drawing had been replaced by a child's spelling test with a gold star. "This house understands long years," I said. On the way home, Lucy asked if Grandpa would be mad we didn't live there. "No," I said. "He wanted it to shelter people. It's doing that." She nodded. "Then the house is still ours." "Yes, even with them in it. Especially with them in it." She smiled at the window, and I knew we had made the right choice. I saw Marissa again the following autumn. She was sitting on the porch steps at Maple Street when I arrived to fix a loose gutter. For one impossible second, my body went back to the burial, to the plastic sleeve in her hand, to the sentence, "Don't go back to the house tonight." Then she stood, palms visible like a person approaching a skittish animal. "I know I'm not supposed to be here," she said. She looked different, not redeemed. Real life is not that generous, but plainer. Her hair had grown out with gray at the roots. Her coat was old. She carried no purse big enough for documents. "Grace called me," I said. "She said someone was sitting outside. I didn't bother them. I just wanted to see it. You lost the right to just want things here." She nodded. "I know." That was new too. No counterattack. No wound turned outward. I walked past her to check the gutter. She stayed by the steps. The boys inside shouted about a video game. Grace's dog barked once and gave up. "Community service is at the hospice center," Marissa said after a while. "Filing, mostly, sometimes reading to patients when they ask." I tightened the bracket. "That must be hard." "It is." A pause. "Good, but hard." I did not make it easier by responding. "There was a man last week," she said. "He kept asking for his daughter. She wasn't coming. The nurse said she hadn't been in months. I sat with him until he slept, and all I could think was, Dad probably asked for me when I wasn't there." The screwdriver slipped in my hand. I climbed down slowly. Marissa was crying now, not beautifully. Her face blotched. She looked older than our father had ever let her be. "I'm not telling you so you'll comfort me," she said. "I just wanted to say it out loud somewhere he might hear." I looked at the house. For so long, Maple Street had been an object in a fight. Now children lived inside it. Dishes dried by the sink. A dog scratched at the back door. Life had insulted the theft by continuing. "You can't come here again without asking," I said. "I know, and I may say no. I know." She wiped her face with her sleeve. "Did Lucy read the letter?" "Yes." Marissa swallowed. "Did she say anything?" I thought of the dragon compartment. She put it somewhere safe. That was all I gave her. It was enough, maybe too much. Before she left, she touched the porch railing. The same railing Dad had sanded and painted each spring. "He really did love me," she said. It was not a question, but it needed an answer. "Yes," I said. Her shoulders shook once. I wish that had been enough. So did I. She walked to her car, an old sedan now, not the silver SUV. I watched until she drove away. Inside, Grace offered coffee. The boys showed me a Lego fortress they had built under the dining room table. The dog put its head on my shoe. I fixed the gutter. I checked the porch swing. I found a new crayon mark on the baseboard and decided not to mention it. Houses are not preserved by keeping them untouched. They are preserved by letting the right people leave marks. The first anniversary of Dad's death came with rain. Of course it did. Weather has no sense of subtlety. We went to the cemetery in the morning, Anna, Lucy, and me. Marissa did not come. She had asked Patricia to ask whether she should stay away, which was the closest thing to respect she had managed. I said yes. Maybe next year would be different, maybe not. Lucy brought a small wooden train she had painted blue like the front door. Dad had never cared much for trains, but Lucy said graves needed things from the living, not just the dead. She placed it at the base of the stone. "The house is okay," she told him. "The boys are loud but nice. The dragon still works. Dad built a new swing. It's almost straight." "Almost," I said. She gave me a look. "You know it tilts." Anna laughed, and the sound startled me. Not because laughter had vanished from our lives, but because here, beside Dad's grave, it felt like permission. After the cemetery, we went to Maple Street. Grace had invited us for lunch. The boys had made a sign that said "Welcome COLES" in letters, so uneven Dad would have admired their confidence. We ate soup in the kitchen. Mrs. Alvarez came over with bread and unsolicited opinions about the gutter. Pastor Michael stopped by with a pie. The house filled with people who had learned, some too late, that showing up matters more than saying you meant to. After lunch, Lucy led everyone to the porch. The new swing hung there, weathered now into belonging. Underneath, the names remained. Robert plus Mary plus Evan plus Anna plus Lucy. Truth SDAYS. Grace's youngest boy had added. In orange marker, Max was here. Lucy discovered it and laughed. Grandpa would pretend to be mad, she said. Then secretly leave it, I said. We sat on the porch as rain tapped the roof. People talked in small groups. Nobody mentioned Marissa. Not because we were hiding her, but because for once the day belonged to Dad without being organized around what she had done. That evening, after everyone left, I stayed behind to lock up. Lucy was in the yard with Anna, jumping over puddles. I went into the study and opened the dragon compartment. The green marble was there. Marissa's apology, a copy of Dad's trust. Lucy had added a folded paper I had not seen before. I should not have opened it, maybe, but it had my name on it. Dad, if I ever forget, remind me that Grandpa picked truth. Remind me that houses are not for hiding lies. Remind me that when people say family means staying quiet, they might be wrong. Love, Lucy. I folded it again and put it back. My daughter had written me a future instruction manual. I closed the compartment and stood in Dad's study, listening to rain and Lucy's laughter outside. For a year, I had thought the inheritance was the house. Then I thought it was the trust. Then I thought it was the proof, the video, the record Dad had left to defend himself after death. I was wrong each time. The inheritance was Lucy, knowing the difference between peace and silence. It was Anna, never once asking me to make grief easier by lying. It was me learning that love can be merciful without surrendering the truth. Outside, Lucy called for me. I turned off the study light and went to her. People still ask about the video. Not directly most of the time. They ask around it. Was it really clear? Could you hear everything? Did your father know? Did Marissa ever explain? They want the story to become folklore because folklore is safer than guilt. If the video was fate, then nobody has to ask why they believed my sister before they believed the son who stayed. The video was clear enough. That is the answer I give. But the truth is that the burial video did not expose Marissa all by itself. Dad exposed her by knowing who she was and loving her without trusting her. Patricia exposed her by keeping the envelope. Mrs. Alvarez exposed her by noticing trash bags. Anna exposed her by refusing to let me confuse exhaustion with defeat. Lucy exposed her by seeing the dragon carved into the desk, when every adult saw only furniture. The video was not magic. It was one piece of a truth many people had to choose to protect. That is the part worth remembering. Maple Street is still in the trust. Grace and her boys still live there. The porch swing tilts no matter how many times I adjust it, and Mrs. Alvarez still tells me Cedar would have behaved better. Lucy is 13 now. She is taller, sharper, less willing to accept adult nonsense wrapped in polite language. Sometimes I worry about the hardness the year gave her. Then I watch her help Grace's youngest tie his shoes on the porch, patient and bossy, and I think maybe hardness is not the right word. Discernment, maybe. Marissa sends birthday cards. Lucy decides each year whether to open them. The first one stayed sealed in the dragon compartment for 4 months. The second she opened, read, and put away without comment. Forgiveness, if it comes, is building itself slowly somewhere I do not have the right to supervise. As for me, I still hear Dad sometimes. Not in a ghost way. In the practical, irritating way children hear their parents after they become adults. Measure twice. Label the wires. Don't trust a hinge that squeaks only when company comes. Don't fold. I used to think not folding meant staying angry. It doesn't. Anger burns too hot to build with for long. Not folding means refusing to trade truth for temporary comfort. It means understanding that peace built on a lie is just a nicer room inside the same prison. On the 2nd anniversary of Dad's death, we did not go to court. We did not meet lawyers. We did not watch videos. We had dinner at Maple Street with Grace, her boys, Mrs. Alvarez, Pastor Michael, and 3 neighbors who brought too much food because guilt often travels in casserole dishes. After dinner, Lucy asked everyone to come to the porch. She had made a small brass plate in shop class. Uneven edges, crooked letters, perfect. We screwed it under the swing, beside the carved names. Robert Cole built this house with his hands, left it to the future. Truth SDOYS. When we finished, nobody clapped. Thank God, some moments deserve silence. I sat on the swing after everyone went inside. Rain threatened but did not fall. Across the street, Mrs. Alvarez's porch light glowed. Behind me, the house made the small living sounds houses make when they are doing their job. Dishes, laughter, footsteps, a dog whining for scraps. Lucy came out and sat beside me. "Do you think Grandpa would like the plate?" she asked. "He'd say the screws are crooked." She smiled. "Then he'd like it." "Yeah," I said. "He'd like it." We rocked gently, the new swing complaining in the dark. For a long time after Dad died, I thought the burial video had saved us because it revealed what Marissa tried to hide. Now I understand it did something else too. It buried the version of our family that survived by not asking questions. It buried the habit of keeping quiet because someone might cry, or rage, or leave, or call cruelty by the name of grief. It buried the lie that love means letting people take whatever they can reach. What grew in its place was smaller than justice and harder than revenge. A house with a crooked swing, a daughter who knows the truth, a family that finally learned the difference between mercy and surrender. And every time the swing moves, I hear Dad's voice in the wood. "Don't fold." So we don't.